We've got John O'Connor with us. He's the author of Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy Journalism. He also served as a U.S. Attorney in Northern California from 1974 to 1979. John, how are you this morning?
Hey, just great.
Let's talk a little bit about, the news on Friday was that this Department of Justice Russia investigation into how the Russia collusion investigation started is now being expanded to a criminal investigation. What's your reaction?
Well, I've been asking for this to happen for a couple of years. Actually, if any of your viewers could go to the Daily Caller and look up my historic op-eds, I detailed how, for instance, I think Brennan should be prosecuted and why. I talk about Comey as well, and Peter Strzok. This was a phony investigation, and what's terrible about it is it was not, of course, predicated at all on anything real. It was the intelligence agencies just simply trying to bootstrap evidence by, they were the ones who sent in a fake Russian agent to talk to Papadopoulos, and then they send in the Australian guy who then talks to Papadopoulos about, what the first guy told him and all that. It's really very silly. And here's what gets me. They almost got away with it. If Trump would have been beat at the polls, they would have gotten away with it. What really bothers me is that the media did not pick this up at all. Not one question raised. And one of the reasons I write the op-ed is I'm hoping that some opinion leader will pick up what I say, at least by reasoning, and raise the question. But no, it's out there. And nobody says anything. It's really terrible.
Yeah, and there seems to be, it kind of, everything to me is a lot more crystal clear, with the impeachment situation and the movement by the Democrats, because we now know that William Barr and John Durham, they met with the Italian intelligence officials back at the end of September. Now we have, just a little over 3 weeks ago, the Times reported that President Trump asked Australian Prime Minister to help Barr uncover the origins of Russiagate. That has sent them into an absolute, really tailspin, because now you've got former CIA Director John Brennan, former National Intelligence Director James Clapper that may be interviewed by U.S. Attorney John Durham. And I really believe that they had this whole whistleblower complaint ready to go, and I think they made it up in the way they did. The deep state did what they did because they knew what was about to happen. What do you think about that, John?
Oh, absolutely. This is such a phony proceeding, this Ukraine gate thing. Look, here it's predicated on this quid pro quo idea. Now, if I were President Trump, I would probably admit to some kind of a quid pro quo. There was at least some sort of dangling of the removal or withdrawal of foreign aid. Now, it wasn't on the phone call. He didn't do it himself. But the point is it okay to use foreign aid to leverage a recipient into correct conduct? Well, I think Joe Biden bragged about
doing the same thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, how can that be so? And people act like it somehow a quid pro quo on foreign aid is a violation of the law.
Well, if the $1 billion that Biden did give the Ukraine ended up going to further more corruption and disappear, which it did. The evidence is there that shows that. It's not Trump's fault that Joe Biden decided to run for president. That's not his fault. Joe Biden did that. And, I mean, are we to say that if Joe Biden went over there and killed somebody, that we couldn't prosecute him because he's running for president? That's ridiculous.
Well, look at the other idea. Look at the idea that is it wrong to investigate someone just because they're a candidate? Well, how about Rushgate? How about candidate Trump?
That's what they did to him.
There's adequate predication for examining Biden, for investigating Biden. There was none on Trump. They had to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that's okay. That's okay. And it's not okay to investigate Biden. And that's, once again, you get to the media. All the media outlets are saying the following, and Anderson Cooper said it in the debate the other night, there's absolutely no evidence Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did anything wrong in Ukraine. That's absurd.
Yeah.
That's absurd. I'm thinking, what if the court was about to rule that I was going to lose $23 million, my client was, and then I hire the court's daughter, who has no experience, and start paying her $1 million a year. And all of a sudden, the court reverses its decision and says, O'Connor, I think you can keep your $23 million now.
Yeah. That's a
nobody. The press does not even report that this whole thing, the hiring of Hunter Biden, started when the Brits impounded $23 million of Burisma's funds that had been transferred to Banco de Paribas. And 4 days after the seizure, they hired Hunter Biden. All Ukraine had to do at that point was send a letter from the prosecutor saying, we want the $23 million here in Ukraine. It's been looted. And that's what the British had told the court, that the Ukrainians wanted it. They wouldn't send the letter to the court asking for the money. So for the next 9 months, the court sat there with cobwebs gathering on his gavel.
Yeah.
And finally, the court gives $23 million back. We all focused on Biden later getting the prosecutor fired when he tries to rev this thing up again. But there's a quid pro quo right there. There's no doubt about it. It's a corrupt deal. And Biden had the power to either stop Ukraine from sending that letter or to give it that letter. Biden won. Yeah.
There's also talk about Romania now. Have you heard about, it seems like every country Vice President Joe Biden was in charge of, Ukraine, China, and now Romania, his son Hunter got money.
Well, if you're an official and you know that Biden is coming in to do things and it could cost some oligarch billions, wouldn't you hire Hunter? I would, if I'm in one of those countries. And another thing that's missing is, what is Hunter Biden telling these officials? It is probably right in his file. Now, whether he's going to give it up on a subpoena or not, I don't know. But he's making presentations to these people. I'd like to know what the presentations are about. He's probably saying what we all think he's probably saying. Hey, hire me and I'll help you. Here with my dad. And so it really makes a lot of sense that he be investigated, because after all, this is important to our national security.
Yeah.
What is happening when Biden comes in to supposedly be the point person for these countries? Is he just simply selling his influence? I think so.
Yeah. We're talking with John O'Connor. He is a former assistant U.S. attorney in Northern California, author of the book Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy Journalism, which we are definitely in the midst of. I want to go over here. The Durham, this is a quote from the Daily Caller article. The Durham probe is similar to a Justice Department Inspector General's investigation into the FBI's surveillance of the Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, told Congress on Thursday that the report of that investigation is lengthy and that he anticipates most of it will be made public. So limited redactions here, John. Horowitz has been
Yeah.
investigating whether the FBI misled the Foreign Surveillance Court and spy applications. And so, again, much of this, I feel like maybe the deep state's in their death throes right now.
Well, right. I mean, that's why this really silly stuff on Ukraine Gate. I mean, there's nothing there. Yeah, maybe politically somebody could try to make a big deal about Trump trying to investigate Biden, but you're right. It is a really irrational reaction, and it's an effort to get the public to look at this shiny object that they're of Ukraine Gate, and then they can say that Durham and Barr were just doing this politically to remove any attention from this wonderful investigation they're doing now. I mean, that's going to be their tune. So
yeah, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to implicate a lot of folks. Now, on the idea of criminal charges, just real quick, Breitbart.com's Joshua Kaplan has a story. MSNBC national security analyst Malcolm Nance on Friday floated the possibility without evidence that the Department of Justice's newly launched criminal investigation into the origins of the Trump-Russia probe could be the ultimate distraction to help steal the election. This is his tweet here. Let me throw it up on the screen. Warning, I heard a D.C. rumor from a close Trump source in May 2017 that he wanted to charge Obama, Biden, Brennan, and Clinton with treason over Russia. Now with Barr as AG, this may be crazy but viable. It could incite civil unrest, which of course the Democrats would want, and be the ultimate distraction to help steal the election. So, John O'Connor, what we're seeing here now is if the DOJ actually pursues justice, makes charges. First of all, I think they're not going to charge anybody high up in the Obama administration unless they're confident that they can get a conviction. I mean, a slam dunk conviction. I think that's very important, by the way. But they're going to say that we're a banana republic and Trump is persecuting his political opponents, aren't they?
Well, absolutely. And so they know this thing has been coming down the pike for a while, and they have been nervous. And I noticed that Brennan's public messaging has gotten much more tame in the last year, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, he was really vociferous in his condemnation of Trump, and he realized that with Barr in there that maybe he ought to just keep a lower profile. These guys know it's coming.
Well, and they make these, Andrew McCabe, CNN contributor. I mean, he's probably going to get indicted for sure, just for lying to the FBI. Which, by the way, it's kind of it's interesting. I think that we have what's going on with General Flynn, right? Everybody just they went after General Flynn because General Flynn knew. I mean, he was in the Obama administration when they were doing all this stuff, and he knew it. And they said there's no way he can be national security advisor. And now we're finding out what about Michael Flynn, that the government essentially, here's this headline, Michael Flynn attorney demands charges be dismissed for outrageous government misconduct. And, I mean, it's all there. The government doesn't want to turn over documents because it's going to expose them even further, right?
Right. And, this whole thing is the James Comey special. Remember, back in 2004, and I've written about this, 2003, 2004, there was no basis to investigate the whole Valerie Plame incident. When the special prosecutor, Patrick Fitzgerald, gave a press conference finally after investigating, he said that there was no possibility that anybody had broken the law because she was not a covered agent. That was an investigation into whether anybody had blown her cover. But Scooter Libby got indicted and almost Karl Rove. Why? For lying to the FBI.
Yeah.
So that's Comey's specialty, trying to hook up a false investigation in the hopes that somebody is going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he was doing in Russiagate. And thank God that Trump did not say anything even remotely false. That's what that's what Comey tries to do.
Yeah.
And that's what was going on back in the Obama administration, when they cooked the stuff up, and even into the after Trump's election.
Well, and we now have evidence via text messages, apparently, because Sidney Powell, the attorney for General Flynn, just released text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page that we didn't have yet. And it looks like they were altering 302 documents. So these summaries of the interviews with Flynn, they were later altered. So there are different versions of them. And so that's another part of, they're claiming exculpatory evidence was withheld. Now, I know as an assistant U.S. attorney, you know something about this, right? I mean, there are rules that you have to follow if you want to get a conviction.
Well, right. The whole idea of flipping in an agent and essentially telling Flynn at the White House that he didn't need an attorney is really horrid, and that's what they did. So one way around this conviction, one way I would, if I were a judge, I would throw it out, is because they planned to try to catch Flynn unaware and without an attorney, so that he would casually tell him a lie. And that's what happened. I mean, Comey knows what he's doing. He's really not a person I would want in charge of any important government agency, but he's a clever, diabolical guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what